closing out the year 2016 with this D&D December thing that people that are just jumping on this hype train of sorts. I figured I'd jump on the hype train too because I like Dungeons and Dragons. I like this uh, D&D December thing that ProJared's been doing, and I'd like to share some experiences, I guess. Uh, well, for one, I haven't had enough of the experiences that I've wanted to have. Like, I wanted to have campaigns last for more than like 3 sessions. And unfortunately, these opportunities, like these, there's just months and months and years even where I just don't get a decent game going, or a game at all for that matter. People get busy, people get work, and I'm pretty much digressing at this point. The My campaigns, they end up usually being comedic. In fact, one of the recent accounts is um, uh, something I've made for a very uh, hilarious and spooky coincidence. As I was uh, I was dungeon master, obviously, sitting with a group of friends, and they were going, and then it was one of the comedic ones, so I figured, man, portal explodes out of nowhere. You're dropped on an island. This island is basically floating in somewhere, and this entire island is a graveyard. All the graves are open, and there's coffins at the bottom of these open graves. And so it was just comedic for kicks and for just for kicks and giggles. So just to figure out all the wacky things that could be done with the various characters, and so every single one of the coffins were trapped, and were trapped in a sort of a way, but every one of them were able to be opened. None of them were locked. But every time one of them would open, a vampire would pop out, and then and just would make just like a typical, like, I don't know, a really bad bit, like a Bela Lugosi impression, and then but then of course that would set the trap off, so the coffin would explode, and so basically the party had to navigate this hilariously a terrible gauntlet of just these cliched, campy vampires inside of these trapped coffins, and one of the coffins had the artifact that the party needed to get off of this godforsaken island, and so this kind of went on and on, and after a while, the people playing needed to take a break, so I decided to start watching some television, and then an episode of Futurama pops on, and one of the sequences in that episode, it showcases some kind of little show within it. Is like it's kind of paradises uh, uh, it kind of paradises some other show. Can't think of it off the top of my head. Is the Scary Door. Um, let's see. Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone. That's what it was paradising. Anyway, the Scary Door, this little fake show within Futurama, it shows these people going down into these catacombs, and then there's this coffin, and then a vampire pops out of the coffin, but then the coffin explodes, and then one of my friends just gives me this glare, and I'm like, I'm serious, like I didn't even there's it's just a coincidence. I can't even remember the words that came out of my mouth at that point, but I'm just like saying is like I have no clue what this is about, and so that was kind of a spooky coincidence that came up with that. On the other hand, I have managed at least one serious campaign, but that serious campaign only lasted about 3 sessions, and it was sort of like a test drive campaign, if you will, where basically I would go through and if something, and like say like I was kind of like testing things in my head, like say like because I was crafting my own homebrew monsters, and of course I homebrewed some other stuff as well to make so the game wouldn't drag along. And this was pretty much sort of like some kind of weird homebrew mix between 3.0 and 3.5, and so basically it didn't go over well with everyone in the party, but a couple moderately enjoyed it. And of course, along the lines, I figured out, this such and such monster has to be nerfed, and I didn't really, and as far as buffed, I didn't really see like anything for any of the monsters to be buffed. But I did figure like bet there's some balancing issues that I needed to rectify, and it was relatively entertaining for myself as well, which I guess I kind of pleasantly surprised myself. It had been so many years since I D&D, and not only that, it's like the first time ever I actually get to try to get a serious story. But it is unfortunately on some ends it kind of crashed and burned because some people didn't have the right attitude for it. And I apologize for the stammering and stuttering. Anyways, and one of the problems is one of the people was being that guy, and I was just like, oh my god, no! It's like you can't. I'm thinking back in retrospect on this campaign that I had, these campaign sessions that I had. I was like, yep, that person was being that guy, and then the other thing was just like, it was kind of just, it was just a simple misunderstanding for someone who wasn't as experienced. So unfortunately this campaign was cut short and people got busy, but on the upside I got to play another role-playing game. It was another a homebrew thing. Unfortunately, it wasn't Dungeons and Dragons specific, but I did get a chance to get a in-depth role-playing experience with a totally like written up from scratch rule system based upon the very human beings that were playing in the group. And this is a different group, but it turned out to be pretty nice. Anyways, hopefully I can play more Dungeons and Dragons in the future. Hopefully I can run some more campaigns in the future. Also, let's see if I could close this out with subscribe. Maybe I'll make some passable Magic the Gathering content and stop taking down those videos because I just keep on screwing up on them. And maybe I can continue my Let's Play on this potato of a webcam. I don't know. Anyways, hope you're having a great holiday. I hope your 2016 wasn't a dumpster fire. This is Dreadbolt signing out.